It's time for overtime.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking. Hear from coaches, the players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Welcome in to hour number 2 on a Friday. If you're new to this neck of the woods, it is time to beat up your neighbor. What the heck do I mean? It's the High Noon Showdown, always brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed Specialty Meats. I got Travis on line 2 and Shane on line 4. They were our 2 lucky callers today. Travis, welcome into the show. First off, how you doing? Secondly, which list would you like your questions from today? List A or List B, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm going to say A.
List A for Travis. That puts our friend Shane on List B. Travis, you're going to be up first. It is time for this week's edition of the High Noon Showdown.
You want a piece of me? I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing. Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can.
Doesn't have to be a fight in the parking lot, although we'd love to see that, actually. It's time to duke it out in this week's edition of the High Noon Showdown.
Put 'em up, put 'em up, put 'em up. It's time to rumble. Travis wanted List A, and Travis, you got to pay attention. You got to be well-rounded, and you got to be smart for the High Noon Showdown, brought to you by the all-new Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats. Elevate your grill game with Uncle Ed's out there on the east side of Sioux Falls. Travis, welcome right back onto the air. Your first question, what jersey number does former North Dakota State Bison wide receiver Christian Watson wear with the Green Bay Packers?
9.
That is correct. Travis, pretty confident in the answer. Back on hold you go, my friend. Welcome to the air, Shane. Shane, what jersey number does Lions wide receiver and my public enemy number 1 on that roster, Amon-Ra St. Brown, what number does he wear?
14.
Wow, we got a couple ringers here. Shane, keep it going. What college did Atlanta Falcons running back Bijan Robinson go to?
Go Horns.
Go Horns, Texas indeed, and Texas big-time game this weekend with the Georgia Bulldogs. Shane is running through it so far. Travis looking to keep pace. One of the big-time playmakers on the defensive side of the football for the Minnesota Vikings goes by the name of Andrew Van Ginkel. Where did he conclude his college career, Travis? Andrew
Florida.
Van Ginkel. Florida is not correct. He is a Wisconsin Badger. Travis, you got to get this one right to stay alive. It is multiple choice, so don't throw out a guess until I get through these options here. NHL hockey. I don't know if it's a strong suit for you, Travis, but you got a 33% chance to get this one right. With 18 points this season in the standings, which NHL team is currently dead last in the league? Is it Chicago? Is it Anaheim, or is it Montreal?
It's definitely Chicago.
It is definitely Chicago. Travis, you are alive for now. They've got 18 points over to line number 4. And Shane, you can slam the door, stub Travis's toe, and rip away the prize pack if you can tell me the correct answer to this question. Also, multiple choice. NHL hockey. Which one of these 3 NHL teams is currently atop its division? Is it the LA Kings? Is it the Edmonton Oilers or the Vegas Golden Knights? What's the correct answer? LA, Edmonton, or Vegas?
My heart says Edmonton, so I'm probably wrong. But Edmonton.
Listen to your heart is not right, Shane. You are still in a tie. Tiebreaker time. You get the first crack at it, though. Kirk Cousins coming back into town. He played for Minnesota from 2018 to 2023. He finished his Vikings career second all-time in touchdown passes to Fran Tarkenton. Tarkenton had 239. Give me your best guess for Kirk Cousins' Viking touchdown passes in his career. Tarkenton?
190. 194.
194 for Shane. Back on hold you go. We welcome in Travis back to the show. Travis, Tarkenton had 239 for first place. Shane guessed 194 for Kirk. How many do you think he had?
What was the question again?
Kirk Cousins, Vikings touchdown passes. He's second all time to Fran Tarkenton, who had 239. How many did Kirk have?
211.
211, and that is further away than our friend Shane. Sorry, Travis. Better luck next time as we go back to line number 4. Shane, welcome back. You survived the gauntlet, my friend. You're the winner of this week's High Noon Showdown.
Woo!
All right, Shane, the winner. I got your prize back, Shane. I got your info. Come swing by the studio at any time. We're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Shane, our winner today on the High Noon Showdown. Kirk Cousins, by the way, 171 touchdown passes as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. It's been a hot button topic around here, by the way, this week. From a Vikings perspective, I'm not a Vikings fan, thank goodness, but I know a lot of you out there are, and you're my neighbors, and I'm nice to you, and we talk about your team all the time, and they're also pretty darn good this year. But what is in your plans this weekend? Are you going to boo Kirk Cousins? Are you going to be quiet? Are you going to be loud and respectful? What is your plan for Kirk Cousins? Because for me, pretty darn gracious dude, didn't leave on bad terms. Obviously, the financials were the big issue, and the fact that they had won just one playoff game during his tenure. How are you going to personally handle Kirk Cousins this weekend, whether you're going to the game or not? How do you feel about it? Weigh in, as always, here on the ESPN hotline, 605-362-3776. Prize packs always to pick up, 5100 South Tennis, corner of 57th and Louise, behind Vern Eide. Let's dive into the scorecard. Still to come, the latest from the NFL, playoff standings, the Friday parlay, good, the bad, the ugly, and best bets for your weekend with our pal Lee Sterling of ParamountSports.com. Packers, Lions last night. Green Bay, not physical enough, not healthy enough down the stretch, and could not stop Detroit when it mattered the most. Detroit went for it on fourth down 5 different times. 2 times at the goal line and 1 time inside their own 35-yard line with a lead last night. Regardless, it comes down to this, a fourth down try for the Lions to get just a little bit closer to a chip shot field goal and to bleed the clock out on the Packers. It's a fourth down conversion, and here's how it sounded from the Detroit Lions radio network.
Out of the huddle and to the line. Lions 3 out of 4 tonight on fourth down. Packers stacking that line. On fourth down, Jared up under center, turns, gives it to Montgomery, gets the first down. Jared tripped as he came out from behind center, handed it to Demo, just barely got it to him. He got the first down to the 14-yard line. You let that clock run now. Down to 30, and the Packers can't stop it.
Just felt like an exhausting inevitability for me last night as a Packers fan. The Lions are going to come down. They're going to eat up all the clock. They'll get it in, and they'll find a way to win the game, and that panned out just like that. 34-31 the final. Jared Goff, pretty darn good. 32 of 41, 283, 3 touchdowns against 1 interception. Jordan Love had 31 passing yards in the first half. 31. But he finished the game strong. Here's what he had to say about falling short last night.
It's tough. You know, it's a little bit of adversity, but we've handled adversity. We've been here, had a tough loss early on, a couple. So it's not anything that we haven't seen before. You know, we'll stick together and we'll handle it like any other week. You know, we'll get back to the film room, figure out what we got to clean up, and find ways to get better to finish the season off. But obviously, like you said, anytime you're winning and take a tough loss like this, it's going to disrupt momentum. But we just got to get back to the drawing board and get back to work.
Packers are in a unique situation. They have not lined them up and knocked them down as far as beating bad teams or average teams this year. The good teams, they're losing the games too. They've got losses to Minnesota, Detroit twice, and of course the Philadelphia Eagles in the opener. Green Bay is 9-4. Sky is not falling in Green Bay, title town, Lambeau Field, because at this time last year, and the Packers season ended very, very promisingly with a close loss in the divisional round against the Niners on the road. Packers probably the better team that day. We know how it finished up. Niners move on, went to the Super Bowl and lost to Kansas City. But Green Bay this time last year, if you recall, if you want to feel positive from a Packers perspective, this time last year, the Packers lost a game to Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants in primetime. So now you feel a little bit better from a Packers perspective. Matt LaFleur says this game just a preview of what's to come for his team.
All these games from here on out, like I told our team, they're going to come down to to situations like this. And I do think we have a really good football team. I think we're going to get everybody's best shot, just like we're going to give everybody our best shot. And, it's just a few plays here and there that really separate these types of games.
Speaking of the other team, the Detroit Lions, Michelle Smallman, new Packer fan, very complimentary of Dan Campbell in Detroit.
I know you haven't been there, Cece. I am very much Super Bowl or bust with this Lions team. That's how complete they are. With all the injuries that they had on defense last night, they still find a way to get the win. The aggressiveness from Dan Campbell, it just feels like they have that je ne sais quoi around them, that vibe of winning. They've got the momentum, they've got the talent, they've got the coaching. They really are the complete package, even with so many injuries that they've sustained.
They've got the momentum. They've got the talent. They've got the coaching. The coaching for me is a little bit of a concern. I love Dan Campbell. I love everything he's about, the culture that he's instilled there, along with Brad Holmes. They've done an amazing job at turning around Detroit, getting the fans invested. That's a tough place to play. Raucous fan base, and they won the game. They were the better team last night. But the decision-making of Dan Campbell, it worked out last night. So we're talking positively about Dan Campbell, but going for it with a lead, third quarter, deep in your own territory on fourth down, they didn't get that one. That's the only fourth down they didn't get. That was a bonehead move, win, loss, or draw in that scenario. At the goal line, I'm okay. You want to turn in 3 points for 7, put it all on the line at the 1 yard line with your best play, that's fine. And then late in the game, opportunity to win it with a 38, 39-yard field goal with a kicker who has missed one time this year. I don't care if you give Jordan Love 40 seconds, 30 seconds. That's a risk worth taking. Kick the field goal, secure your spot instead of putting it all out there and saying we're going to be prideful and try to bleed the clock out. I don't understand that at all, and I'm not alone. Ryan Clark pretty critical of Dan Campbell because it reminds him of another coach, frankly.
The way we applaud the Detroit Lions for going for it on fourth down and playing 4 downs to get 10. The only other team that does it as much? The Philadelphia Eagles. Right? Nick Sirianni has been criticized for being a little over-aggressive because he didn't necessarily set the precedent that Dan Campbell has set. He hadn't necessarily had the success we feel it. And honestly, we just like him less as a person for some reason. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the media's perception and the outside perception of Coach Sirianni. And so I do believe that I believe in Nick Sirianni because one of these dudes have been to a Super Bowl. Right? One of these dudes pushed Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes to the brink of the last drive where Superman had to go be Superman. And so I do think, I would take Dan Campbell as my coach over Nick Sirianni, but I do believe Nick Sirianni in those positions and situations can make the right decision.
Either way, if you're a risky person, the risks turn out. One day you're a hero, the next day you're a villain. The Detroit Lions last year in the postseason felt the other side of this. Dan Campbell and that team opted to try to be aggressive and go for touchdowns despite the fact that they led it by 20 against the Niners in the postseason. Everyone roasted him the next day because that aggressive nature ended up being the downfall of Detroit. Say what you will, it might not happen, but in my perspective, not a big fan of these questionable moments for going for fourth downs. When the analytics play in and it's favorable, or if you got a big time moment, you're at home, you got the crowd, whatever it might be, you're trying to seize that momentum and slam the door. I'm okay with it from time to time, but all the time to me feels a little bit foolhardy at times for Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. Regardless of that, they win the game 34-31, 12-1 the record for Detroit. Coming up this weekend, Falcons at Vikings, noon on Fox. Niners and Bears tussle from Santa Clara, 3:25 on Fox. Big Sunday night football game, Chargers and Chiefs. Here's quarterback Justin Herbert.
I think it's always a great opportunity to play against them. We've got so much respect for them, and we understand, how much success they've had the past few years and what they've been able to do. But it's another great opportunity to go play football. It's week by week in this league, and if you start looking ahead or you start, making one game more important than the other, I think you lose sense of reality and where you're at in the year. We've got a very healthy respect for them. We know what they're capable of, but at the same time, we got to attack this week with, our full effort, focus dialed in, and make sure that we're on top of things.
That's Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, 7:20 on NBC for Sunday Night Football. Bengals at Cowboys Monday night, 7:15 on ESPN and on ABC. College football championship weekend begins tonight. UNLV and Boise State from Boise. Mountain West Conference title game, 7 o'clock on Fox. Tulane and Army from the American Athletic Conference title game, 7 o'clock on ABC. Saturday, Iowa State State, Arizona State, 11 o'clock. Georgia and Texas, 3 o'clock. From the Texas perspective, here's head coach Steve Sarkisian on the resilience of his group this year.
One thing we learned about our team is that we've got a real sense of resiliency. You know, we can overcome a lot. And, you know, time and time again, I see teams lose a game and then they get beat again the next week because they're still kind of feeling sorry for themselves from that week before. And I think the one thing about this team, their ability to get recentered, refocused on the task at hand has been very impressive for 2 years now.
Two former Alabama assistants of Nick Saban going head-to-head, Georgia and Texas, SEC on 3 o'clock on ABC. Penn State and Oregon, Big Ten title game, 7 o'clock on CBS. And Clemson and SMU, 7 o'clock on ABC. FCS playoffs, Montana and South Dakota State, 1 o'clock. Tarleton State, the opponent for USD. Here's head coach Bob Nielsen on the Texan program.
Well, I think their explosiveness offensively, you know, they're a team that scored a lot of points. I think they've scored around 35 points a game here over the last 5 games of the regular season, including the playoff game. They've got tremendous weapons, you know, experienced quarterback who throws ball well. They've got a running back that's one of the top rushers in the country, a guy that's going to carry the ball 25 plus times a game, and then very talented group of receivers on the perimeter. And so they cause you to make some decisions.
Tarleton State, very impressive offense so far this year. Consistency key for them, 30-plus points in 4 games. And again, looking pretty good down the stretch of this season. That game kicks off at 2 o'clock from inside the Dakota Dome. Let's dive into your Reliabank headlines of the day. Very special South Dakota Coyote volleyball season came to a close last night in the first round of the NCAA tournament as the Yotes fell in straight sets to second-seeded Creighton. In her final matches, the Yote, Kylan Seelock led USD in kills with 9, also had 3 blocks and 5 digs. Morgan Bodie added 4 kills and 3 blocks, while Amanda Lotion had 3 terminations and 2 blocks in the game. Lauren Medic tallied 3 blocks, 1 solo, and had 8 digs. Avery Van Hook had 13 assists and 5 digs, and Cameron Ferris had a team-high 11 digs in the straight-set loss. It was all Blue Jays in the opening frame, 25-10, and again, straight-set victory. The Yotes end the campaign 21-10 overall, made their 5th NCAA tournament appearance since 2018. We'll look to have Coach Leanne Williamson join us on the show in very due time. South Dakota State volleyball set to take on 8th-seeded Miami in the first round of the NCAA tournament today in Lincoln. Today's match will be South Dakota State's 2nd NCAA tournament appearance in the D1 era and first in 17 years. South Dakota State enters the weekend 27-2. Jackrabbits win 26-1 in the regular season. Won its Summit League semifinal in 5 sets over Denver before falling in a 5-set thriller to rival USD. Miami enters 21-10 on the season. That is an afternoon start time. Miami and South Dakota State from Lincoln this afternoon. South Dakota State travels to Montana Saturday for basketball action for the team's 2nd game of the Big Sky Summit League Challenge. Jackrabbits go to Missoula with a record of 6-2, 2 wins over ranked opponents and 2 wins over Power 4 teams. Most recently, the Jackrabbit women took down Eastern Washington 81-58 at First Bank and Trust Arena on Wednesday night. And lastly, the honors keep coming for Augustana football. The NSIC champion football team saw 5 of its members honored as part of the D2 CCA football all super region 4 teams announced yesterday. On the first team, running back Jared Epperson earned his 2nd honor, and Peyton Buckley, who joined us in studio just last week, earned his 4th all-region accolade from the Conference Commissioners Association. C.J. James, Isaiah Huber, and Hayden Wallace were also members of the 2nd team. You can read the bios, the accomplishments, and the well-deserved honors of those 5 Augustana Viking football players. GoAugie.com. Those are your Reliabank headlines of the day for hour number 2, as always, proudly brought to you by Reliabank. If you're looking for a better local banking option, check them out in the 605 in person or online at Reliabank.com. The latest from the National Football League, injury updates galore as we point everything towards week 14 of the National Football League season. That's coming up next. Immediately next, we got the Friday Parlay to discuss and post with you on the show. Good, the bad, the ugly to come, and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports Sports still set to join us on this Friday edition of Overtime. Don't go anywhere. Overtime continues next right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO.
Stream us online, stream us on the app. Streaming now. Overtime with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO. Sioux Falls sports leader.
Hour number 2 of Overtime. Thanks so much for tuning us in as always and being along for the ride. If you ever missed any of the show, podcast links are easy to find, ESPNSiouxFalls.com, and by downloading the free ESPN Sioux Falls app today at the Apple App Store or on Google Play. We'll get to the latest news from the National Football League here momentarily, but first things first, it's Friday, time to post the Friday Parlay, always brought to you by High End Glass and Tobacco. College football, pro football, a little bit of both mixed into the parlay this week. Post it on Twitter, make an account, give us a follow, enter for your chance to win big every single Friday here on Overtime. It's a Twitter-only contest. Make an account again, give us a follow, and enter. Iowa State, Arizona State, college football Saturday morning, which means you got to enter this soon because this game kicks off in our neck of the woods at 11 o'clock a.m. Iowa State, 10-win season. Matt Campbell, head coach. Rocco Becht, quarterback. Impressive team. They are an underdog against Cam Scattaboo, one of the better names in all of college football. The running back for the Sun Devils is a playmaker and a tough guy to bring down on the field. Iowa State plus 1.5 against Arizona State is your first bet for the Friday parlay. UGA, University of Georgia, and Texas doing battle in Atlanta. Georgia Bulldogs are a 2.5-point underdog in the game. That again, your second pick of the week. And the Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings doing battle Sunday, noon start time. Kirk Cousins revenge game. That dude's way too nice to do anything revenge worthy, but Kirk Cousins, excuse me, and the Atlanta Falcons are a 5.5-point underdog on the road in the Twin Cities. And your tiebreaker, I just had to do it. Kirk Cousins total passing yards in the game on Sunday. Give it your best bet there, your best guess there. Enter to win right now. The Friday Parlay, always brought to you by High End Glass and Tobacco. Latest news from the National Football League. Today is a injury kind of day. Some updates injury-wise from around the league. The Raiders expect quarterback Aiden O'Connell and wide receiver Jacoby Myers to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Justin Jefferson commenting on Kirk Cousins ahead of the matchup. Nothing but nice things to say for 4 seasons. Justin Jefferson caught passes from Kirk Cousins, with the veteran quarterback helping the Vikings receiver become one of the best in league history. Jefferson saying yesterday, just seeing him, seeing the day-to-day routine, seeing how he comes to work every day and how he's on the playbook, how he's studying hard every single day. He's so much into the book. I love that about him, and his work ethic and just a person is great always. Great to have a quarterback you can joke with and be around and have his locker right next to mine. Talk to him every single day. Glowing conversation from Justin Jefferson talking about former teammate Kirk Cousins. They will be against each other coming up on Sunday, but no bad feelings, no bad beef between those two, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Malik Neighbors will not practice today, but he has yet to be ruled out for Sunday's action for the New York Giants. And last injury update to get to, Jalen Coker, the young wide receiver for the Panthers, is doubtful for Sunday, and Jadeveon Clowney questionable for Carolina. Now we round out the segment talking about some tough news here. It has to do with former Vikings wide receiver, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Randy Moss. Pro Football Hall of Famer announced recently that he is dealing with a health issue, and it will cause him to make a change to his work schedule. As of today, ESPN announcing, ESPN.com, ESPNSiouxFalls.com. You want to read the article. Moss is going to be stepping away from his role on the network's Sunday NFL Countdown for, quote, an extended time. Moss addressed his health challenge during last Sunday's show. Moss has not announced the nature of his health issue, but said he addressed the problem because of social media comments about his eyes appearing yellow, and that he was wearing sunglasses on the air. The ESPN statement that Moss has said, the ESPN statement said that Moss has their, quote, full support, and they will welcome him back once he's ready to resume working. We do not have any details, and again, that's Randy Moss's complete and total right not to give out any health details, but as of right now, it appears to be at least a semi-concerning situation with Randy Moss. He is stepping away from his role at ESPN for a brief period of time, and hopefully it is just a brief period of time for Randy Moss leaving his position at ESPN. That's the latest from the National Football League, and of course, the Friday Parlay is officially posted. I see a couple of you have already entered the weekly contest, Twitter exclusive contest. Make an account, give us a follow, enter every single Friday for your chance to win big here on Overtime. We take the break, come back with the good, the bad, and the ugly from the sports world, and there is a lot to get to from around the world of sports, good, bad, ugly, and otherwise. We'll do that next on Overtime on a Friday, right here on ESPN Sioux Falls.
Don't miss a moment of pro sports action. Stay connected and download the app for Overtime on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO.
Welcome back to Overtime. Happy Friday out there to all of you. Big weekend of college and pro football ahead, and it starts tonight. Pair of games for championship weekend. Mountain West, 7 o'clock on Fox. UNLV and Boise State. The American, 7 o'clock on ABC. Tulane battling the Army Black Knights. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is time to hit that on a Friday. Let's do it on Overtime.
Many days there are those who can be called a problem child. You know the ones. They have a tendency to display an ugly side. They have their whiny moments. Some display an outright bad side of themselves. And then there are those who stand out in a good way. Well, here they are. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, the good news today comes from the world of Major League Baseball. The Las Vegas Stadium Authority approved lease, non-relocation, and development documents yesterday to clear the last major hurdles for the Athletics to construct a $1.75 billion stadium on the Las Vegas Strip and bring Major League Baseball to the ever-expanding sports market out there in the desert. Its lease and non-relocation agreements each cover 30 years. Steve Hill, CEO and president of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, said in his closing remarks, it's a really significant day in Las Vegas. Today's a real milestone. I think we should recognize that and celebrate that. It's a really exciting day for the A's. Team board member Sandy Dean said, we're grateful to everyone that helped us to be here today. The cost for the A's stadium has risen by $250 million due to inflation and added fan and player amenities. They include an underseat cooling system and a split lower bowl to bring the crowd closer to the action. Exciting stuff for Las Vegas, sad stuff for Oakland, but we knew it was an inevitability, and one more step, one more hurdle cleared for the A's move to Las Vegas. The Tampa Bay Rays are not going anywhere. Their potential new ballpark got a boost yesterday when the St. Petersburg, not Tampa, but St. Petersburg City Council voted to approve the bonds necessary to finance the $1.3 billion stadium. That is only part of the deal. The Pinellas County Commission also must decide whether to approve its share, with a vote later set in December. Meanwhile, the Rays will play this season in the New York Yankees spring training site, Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, because of the hurricane damage to Tropicana Field. The Rays have said it was impossible to play at the Trop next year and maybe not until 2026. The vote Thursday was to issue bonds that could finance a new stadium, perhaps as soon as 2028. It came after the county hedged on the financing deal while the overall plan was approved by the city and county last summer. Good news, not a big-time deciding factor, but another small hurdle in the way of the Rays staying in town in Tampa-St. Pete area. The $1.3 billion stadium got a boost again, voted to approve the bonds, and that's just the first step in that process. On to the bad news. Things are bad for Eric Bieniemy. UCLA has let go of the one-time Chiefs offensive coordinator after just one season as their offensive coordinator. They've already got his replacement lined up as well. Indiana quarterbacks coach, co-offensive coordinator Tino Sunseri has agreed to replace Bieniemy on staff after the conclusion of the college football playoff and is currently finalizing details of his deal to work with the Bruins. The UCLA ranked 126th nationally among FBS teams in scoring, just scoring 18 points per game this past season and failed to put up more than 20 points over their final 4 games. They also ranked 117th in total offense and had the nation's 5th worst rushing attack. They rushed for just 86 yards per game there at UCLA. Not a great first season as part of the Big Ten, 5-7, and not bowl eligible. Speaking of firings and dismissals, the league worst Chicago Blackhawks have fired head coach Luke Richardson as of yesterday after just 3 seasons on the job. Anders Sorensen, coach of the AHL Rockford Ice Hogs, was named the interim head coach and will assume duties immediately. The Blackhawks also have made Mark Eaton, their assistant GM overseeing player development, the interim coach in Rockford. Sources told ESPN's Emily Kaplan that Sorensen will coach the rest of the season and will be given an opportunity to get the full-time job as the Blackhawks think very highly of that coach. The Blackhawks plan on conducting a full coaching search after the season. Richardson was 57, 118, and 15 as the head coach of the Blackhawks. He was hired in 2022, not given a lot of really weapons to move forward and win hockey games with. They did draft Connor Bedard last year. Slow start to a rookie season. Did earn Rookie of the Year honors. This year, he's been good, working through some things, working on rounding out that roster, but not good enough in the limited amount of time. 3 years, 26 games this year. Chicago 8-16-2. That is the worst record in the National Hockey League. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Always proudly brought to you by the fine folks over on the east side of Sioux Falls, East 26th Street. It is Game Day Men's Health. If you've got those moments where you simply don't feel your best, it could be low T holding you back, call and make a consult today or visit them online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Their phone number 605-600-5454. All good coming up next with Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Best bets for your weekend. We react just a bit to Thursday Night Football as well with Lee. Lee Sterling of ParamountSports.com joining us next on Overtime.
It's so convenient. Sports on the go. Download the free app now. This is ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you. Final segment of the day, final segment of the week on Overtime. Thanks for being with us all week long. We always save the best for last. Final segment of the week always belongs to Lee Sterling at Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com. Lee, before we get started with the slate of action this weekend, college and pro football, I need your thoughts on the Lions-Packers. What did you learn last night from that game?
As good as Detroit is with all these injuries, they are not going to win a Super Bowl. Dan Campbell's head coach. So you can coach like that and get away with it in the regular season sometimes, but postseason, you got to take the points. Never should have gone for it on his own 30, number one, and then the end of the game. Can you imagine if Goff can't get up and make the handoff and they go down and score? So just think that, got to check your ego at the door. It's about winning games.
Absolutely. Hindsight 2020. They were right more often than they were wrong last night. 4 of 5 on fourth down. But again, interesting stuff moving forward for Dan Campbell. Let's talk some college football. Tomorrow, it's the early get-up game, 11 o'clock Central, Arizona State. Running back Cam Scattaboo, fun name to say, matching up with Iowa State, a team first time ever in Ames regular season. 10 wins for Matt Campbell and the Cyclones. What is the smart side for this ball game? Arizona State, a 2-point favorite. It's been bouncing around a bit, but what's the smart money side?
So I think both these teams, talent-wise, are pretty similar. The difference might be this injury here to Jordan Tyson. I mean, how good a receiver is he? Well, he only caught balls, 75 of them, for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Iowa State had to play their last 6 games, cold weather, 4 in Iowa, 1 in Kansas City against Kansas, and 1 on the road at Utah. I think that they regained their early season mojo here. Iowa State's strength is passing offense. Rocco Beck, he's going to be going against Arizona State's pass defense, which is ranked 75th in the country here. I think Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who combined for 15 touchdowns, should be able to get the job done here. And Iowa State's only been an underdog once since week 2. That was against Iowa, and they won the game. Wrong team favored Iowa, 30-26.
Iowa State, 30-26. Should be a good game to get us going tomorrow. That's an 11 o'clock start time. You can watch it locally on your ABC affiliate. Georgia and Texas. The Longhorns this year been pretty darn good, 11-1. They've got 1 loss. It was to UGA and the Georgia Bulldogs. 2.5 points the spread favoring Texas. It's a road game in Atlanta against the Georgia Bulldogs. That's going to be a very pro-Georgia crowd. Will it matter? What's the best side in that one, Lee?
Yep. So Texas got punched in the face first game. I don't see it happening again. I mean, the Bulldogs, they're just not the same team. And Texas, I think, finally found themselves. They dominated Texas A&M last week. Both line of scrimmage here. And I just think that this Georgia team is not even close to where they were in championship seasons. I mean, neither their offense or defense is in the top 20 in any major statistical category. I just think that Quinn Ewers, who's not 100%, I think they're going to decrease his usage a little and expand the use of Arch Manning here and use some more wrinkles with him in there. Favorites also 25-6 straight up in SEC championship games. I think Texas gets their revenge here. Other than home field, I mean, playing in Atlanta, I don't see any edge that Georgia has. My strongest play of the weekend, Texas 31-21.
Love that pick, and I'm in agreement there as well. I got a strong opinion against Penn State this year. I think they're fraudulent. I don't think they're bad, but I don't necessarily think they're good enough to be a front runner in the CFP, but they're going to be, even if they lose to Oregon, which I think that they will. The spread is 3.5 in favor of the Ducks. Dan Lanning, to me, is the best coach in the country. Top 3, top 5, debatable, of course. But where do you stand on that one? Spread is 3.5 in favor of Oregon.
So can you imagine what these Penn State kids were thinking as they're watching that game, Ohio State and Michigan last week, or just driving around? I mean, no one. Do you know anyone that thought that Michigan had a chance to win that game outright?
No.
So they were probably making plans for going away for the weekend, maybe see their parents, go away with their girlfriend, do some hunting. Then all of a sudden they realize they're playing for the Big Ten championship. They're playing with free money here. They were probably the 5th or 6th seed if they weren't in the championship game. Unless they get blown out, they're going to be the 5th or 6th seed still. I think the pressure is off James Franklin. He's 1-16 straight up and 5-12 against the spread versus top 5 opponents. We all know that. But now Oregon's got to travel 3 time zones to play this game. It's going to be like a home game. I think Penn State will have 40 to 50,000 fans there. Except for passing offense, Penn State has the better statistics here. So I know Oregon's good, but this might be one of those years where there is no clear-cut number 1 team here. I think Oregon should be -1, 1.5, not 3.5 here. I'm going to say Ducks out of water in Indy. Wrong team favored here. Penn State pulls a shocker, 27-23.
Wow, I love that. And Lee, I will tell you, too, this is the best year ever to expand the playoff because this year there is no true front-runner, best team in the country. Ohio State has their warts. Oregon might be showing them coming up on Saturday. On to the NFL, Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins back in town. He has been awful in all caps and underline. 4 interceptions for the first time ever in his career, at least in a Vikings career, Falcons career. I did not look back to the Washington stats for Kirk Cousins. He's in Atlanta, but they're going to be in Minnesota, and the Vikings are a 5-point home favorite. Do the Vikings keep on cruising, or is this finally the team that knocks them off and ends the win streak?
You know, I'd like to believe in Atlanta, and we've seen some great stories the last couple of weeks. I mean, just last week alone, Jerry Jeudy went nuts for the Browns against his old team, Denver. Leonard Williams and Geno Smith in Jersey against the Jets on Sunday. I mean, they're still probably riding on cloud 9. I think something's wrong with Kirk Cousins, and I don't think it's his Achilles. I think he might have dead arm. So I remember when I used to play quarterback and pitch, maybe once every year or two, there was a period for 4 or 5 days, just I had nothing on the ball. I think that's what's going on with him right now. I think that Brian Flores is going to be able to game plan for it, look for Harrison Smith, maybe have an interception, a couple big plays from his safety position. Sam Darnold's playing some good football. He's got some weapons. I mean, running back, receiver, tight end, with Hawkinson back. I like Minnesota 27-16.
Know a lot of Vikings fans are going to be happy to hear that. Lee, you've always got goodies cooked up. We're into December now, ParamountSports.com. What's the free play this week, and how else can people get involved?
Free play is going to be Kansas City and the L.A. Chargers. What a game this is. Mm-hmm. You want to get it for free, be one of the first 10 callers. Call 800-400-9741. First 10 callers get Kansas City and the L.A. Chargers on me. We also have a huge UFC card, 5 selections, $55 on the pay-per-view on Saturday night, and one of them is a very rare 50-unit max wager selection. We're 21-6 the last 27 times. We've released a 40 to 50-unit play, went 6 of the last 7, 50-unit max wager. So you want to hop on board, just $55 there. Or get double down December from now through December 31st in football. We're on a 16-3 run since Thanksgiving Day. So just one place. Use that coupon code SAVE200 to get it for $247. Double down December. ParamountSports.com.
ParamountSports.com, and that hotline number for the free play again, Kansas City and the Chargers. Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite at home. It's 800-400-9741. Lee, you're the best. Thanks so much as always for the time. We'll talk to you in a week.
Yeah, what we'll do, Bert, is we have next week's just the NFL. We'll take off next week, and we'll come back in 2 weeks, and we'll do the college football playoff and bowl extravaganza.
Hey, okay? Looking forward to that. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, Lee.
Okay.
Thanks as always for the time.
Thanks, Bert.
All right, Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com. That hotline number again, 800-400-9741. We will talk to you on Monday. The weekend hasn't even started yet. My Packers already have a loss. I do not like Thursday night football. I love it when my team wins, but coming off a loss, pretty darn tough. Hope you and yours have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday from 11 to 1 when the next edition of Overtime rolls around right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO.